View it as a poll. And I call it the voice. It's the voice of America. It's my voice.
Why are you even talking about this? It's a scam, just like everything he's ever been involved in is some sort of con.
What do all these things have in common? Flirt, the number 4, free.com, naked.com, stripchat.com, and Donald Trump. The Guardian reported that it has obtained leaked documents showing that in 2022, Trump Media, the parent company of Trump's Truth Social, received a total of $8 million in loans from a company called ES Family Trust. So shady loans, insider trading, and a company that is hemorrhaging cash and is somehow Trump's big financial lifeline.
In typical Donald Trump fashion, there's already been some major fraud involving his Truth Social company.
Not a political question about former President Trump, but actually a business question about Truth Social. You've seen the stock on the move in this, I'll call it remarkable, maybe even crazy way.
Just say 2 words, GameStop.
GameStop. That's what you think is going on here.
It's ridiculous.
The
company has no revenue.
But do you think it could ever be a bigger business? Do you think if he wins the presidency, it becomes...
Why?
I'm asking...
Why would it be bigger? Look, he's only interesting now because he's out there entertaining the folks. I hope if he does get elected, he just plays golf for 4 years. But
so do you think that all of the investors in this are getting scammed? Do you think they think this is a transference of wealth from one side to the other, and that's the goal? What do you think is happening?
I think they're dopes. I mean, who would buy a company that literally has, I think, what does it have? $30 of revenue?
I think it was $4 million. It was
$4 million in revenue. That's $4 million in revenue. It's ridiculous. I'm not saying it's not ridiculous.
$4 million.
Why are you even talking about this? It's a scam, just like everything he's ever been involved in is some sort of con.
Let me pivot.
Amazing survival of a con man is just beyond comprehension, but there it is.
Digital World Acquisition Company was the shell company that was formed a few years ago, and that company went public with the sole intent of then acquiring Truth Social to bring Truth Social public. The Digital World Acquisition Company has already paid $18 million to the SEC in a penalty regarding their fraud investigation into the company, which delayed the merger to begin with. And now just this week, 2 investors from Miami, brothers, bought shares in Digital World Acquisition Company before it went public, knowing it was going to be going public. They made millions of dollars in this insider trading scheme and just pled guilty this week in New York on these federal charges. Their sentencing can be up to 20 years each. Federal prosecutors are recommending far less, but it is up to the judge what their sentence will ultimately be. Specifically, one of the brothers made $18 million in his trading profits. The other one, $4.6 million. And also very Trump-like, the proceeds, part of the proceeds from that $18 million went to buy a $14 million luxury yacht that he named the Provocateur.
2 of the early investors in the company that Trump Media tried to merge with in 2021 pleaded guilty to securities fraud, or in layman's terms, insider trading that netted them tens of millions of dollars. We are going to get some very expert help with all of the specifics here in just a moment, but let's just zoom out for a second. Truth Social is largely seen as Donald Trump's biggest financial lifeline. Last week, Trump's net worth shot up by more than $4 billion because of his stock in the company. $4 billion because investors believe Trump's media company is a good investment. A media company we now know was in the red to the tune of $58 million last year. So shady loans, insider trading, and a company that is hemorrhaging cash and is somehow Trump's big financial lifeline. What is actually happening here?
In addition to all of the fraud allegations and insider trading, there is the fact that the stock has plummeted this week because it is just not very valuable. 8K filing that their own company made said that they had lost $58 million in revenue last year. They have only less than 500,000 active users compared to 100 million active users for platforms like Facebook. So it's not surprising that Trump went on to Truth Social to say a bunch of things that probably aren't true.
Is down 18% right there. You can see it. It has been dropping throughout the morning. This comes after the company that owns Truth Social posted financial numbers this morning. CNN's Matt Egan joins me now. Matt, this is no April Fool's joke, but it might be making some fools out of investors out there.
Yeah, Jimmy, it might be. We should note, though, that this stock really had been going up like a rocket ship until now. These new numbers are forcing a mini reality check. I say mini because despite the loss of 18% as we speak, we're still talking about a stock that has skyrocketed about 200% so far this year. It spiked in January when Donald Trump ran away with the Iowa caucuses and up again as the company went public. So here's the latest numbers that are concerning investors. Truth Social owner Trump Media lost $58 million last year, and it generated very, very little revenue, just $4.1 million in revenue. Put some context around that figure of revenue. If you look back at what Twitter generated when it went public about a decade ago, in that final year when it went public, $665 million, more than 100 times what Trump Media has been able to rake in. And some of this is not shocking because we know that Truth Social is struggling. I mean, it is shrinking. Monthly active US users on iOS and Android down 51% year over year. It's not just much smaller than Twitter, it's even smaller than Threads. And I think all of this just underscores why there's a lot of warnings out there about this stock, right? One professor told me it's a bubble. Another basically called it a meme stock. So Jim, listen, we're going to see this stock go up and down because its valuation right now is very, very high.
Yeah, what a shocker that this is a meme stock. All right, Matt Egan, caveat emptor.
He said specifically that the company had, quote, $200 million in cash and zero debt, and said that it was very good for a startup and growing fast. Now, here's the thing. We're kind of used to Trump saying whatever he wants, and most of it is lies and not having many consequences. But when you are a 60% shareholder in a public company like he is here in the Trump Media company, you have a fiduciary duty to the rest of the shareholders, and he has access to inside information. And if that public company doesn't actually have $200 million in cash and zero debt, they can sue him, and the SEC can go after him as well. So the other question everyone asks is Trump going to dump his own stock? Is he going to get out while it's still relatively up? Because as we know, the valuation of the company is nowhere close to the value of the stock, even after the stock has plummeted. Well, he's going to have a few restrictions. For one, he has a 6-month lockup agreement with the new company's board, which is typical. It would say that insiders can't just buy and dump the stock because that's going to basically tank the whole deal that was just made. He might be able to talk his way into the board releasing him from that, but that is a risk. The rest of them might lose their money too. And I don't know if everybody is so willing to lose their money with Trump. I mean, they've certainly been willing to go to prison for him, so maybe. But beyond that, there's something called the 10B, part of the SEC fraud restrictions. And the fact is that if he has any kind of inside information, he can't sell his stock either. Typically, an insider like Trump in a public company has a schedule for when they want to sell their stock. They tell a trader that at a certain price and at a certain date, that stock should be sold. That way they don't risk selling a stock similar to any kind of time where they might have access to information. So Trump may have quite a bit of restrictions on whether or not he gets out when he wants to get out, not just the lockup, but the SEC rules as well. It was revealed in federal court documents that there was even more interesting things going on regarding the Digital World Acquisition Company. This was the shell company that helped bring Truth Social public. So in addition to the two brothers, Gerald and Michael Schwartzman, who pled guilty to insider trading, there was a Russian-American businessman that made quite a lot of money. He was based in Miami. Evidently, he owns a Caribbean bank that caters to the porn industry, and he evidently loaned $8 million to Trump's media company. He not only resides in Miami, he evidently is the nephew of a former high-ranking Russian government official that has connections to, yes, you guessed it, Trump's best friend, Putin.
They asked me that question. One of the presidents of a big country stood up and said, well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? I said, you didn't pay? You're delinquent? He said, yes, let's say that happened. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay. You got to pay your bills. You know, it affects them much more than it affects us. We have an ocean in between us. They don't have that ocean in between.
The Russian-American businessman has not yet been charged, but he was part of the FBI warrant into the investigation of the insider trading that the two brothers just pled guilty to this week. This all has to do with the Digital World Acquisition Company and trades that were made right before and after it went public back in October 2021.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.